learning some valuable lessons. Just because you build a square does not mean it's actually square. So I had to order a tool that'll be here today to check my 90s and to fix this, because this did not work out. This is not lining up. This is way off. It's more off than that. And it's, if you square the wood, that's like 1.5 inches, 2, at least, no, that's 1.5 inches off. So this is not square, and I gotta fix it, or it's gonna ruin the entire build. Fun times. At least I'm figuring it out on a much smaller project than a bigger project. Okay, so I was able to redo these to get these straight. I took out the screws and only put one screw back in, just so they would sit on there straight. As you can see, this is probably the most severe one. This one goes in probably 1/4 of an inch to make sure that that's straight, but I'm okay with that. This is about 1/8 of an inch sticking out on this side, and about 1/8 of an inch going in on this side. But I don't mind that. I don't mind these little bits as long as I have a perfect square. So everything else should line up perfect. We shall see, hopefully. It's still off. I don't know how, but we're coming up to about 1/2 inch discrepancy. So 1/2 inch there, and of course it overlaps 1/2 inch here. So I still didn't get this thing square for some reason, unless this board's not square, which I highly doubt. I'm assuming this would be perfectly square. But I mean, if this was a class, I have failed. I have failed miserably. I got an F. I don't understand. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I would have started off with these 90-degree brackets, or jig, whatever you call it, I probably would have gotten it straight from the beginning. But that's unfortunate. I think we'll just keep it how it is, because this is still way better than what it was, and this is workable, you know, even though it is probably going to be at least 1/2 inch off in total. But we'll figure it out, man. I lied. I'm gonna try one more time. This time I completely took out the center. Kind of broke it a little bit, but oh well. I need to make a perfect square. It's driving me insane that I can't make a square. Like, nobody told me this was difficult. A perfect square. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna do it. We're doing it. Now, every corner is perfect at 90 degrees without having to compensate the corners, and everything is flush. Now, if this doesn't line up, I'm gonna set you on fire. The length of my 8 feet long boards are off by like 1/4 of an inch. That's 1/4 of an inch longer than the the other board. But I never even cut those. Those were just supposed to be 8 feet when you buy them. So even though I have this all squared, it still throws it off. That's frustrating. There's a lot of extra work, man. But it's just gonna be partially off. I guess that's just what you deal with, especially when you're buying wood from Home Depot. Is this what it's like building a freaking house? I'm just trying to build a little playhouse. Or is shit off this much? It's frustrating. This just makes me feel like a fool. I mean, I've redone it twice. And this is what I have. Like that has to be at least a ½ inch. That's huge gap. Yep. Oh no, not a half, but close to 3/8. Am I not reading that right? No, that's half. Son of a bitch. And then it's ½ inch over on this side. But it's straight. Well, no, because I moved it a little bit to compensate on this. It's ridiculous. Okay, so that's disappointing, unfortunately. My background is industrial mechanic. I haven't really built anything. I built my workbench, but even that was kind of, things were off on that, but I wasn't worried about that since it was the workbench. I'm trying to build a playhouse as kind of like, this is my practice to work on my tiny home, because I got this trailer to build a tiny home on. And I didn't want to just dive into this huge building project without kind of tackling something a little bit smaller. Although this playhouse is not only 5 feet by 8 feet, it's also 2 stories. Still, I'm tackling quite a large project, but it's a project that's for me and my kids, or, you know, well, for the kids, really. It's just a little unnerving to be like, all I'm doing, like, I haven't even started building a playhouse. I just started building a pallet that the playhouse will be attached to. And that pallet, by putting the subfloor down, is off by ½ inch. And at first, I wasn't too discouraged, because you jump on YouTube and you learn and you figure it out. Like, okay, there's a tool to make sure that you have a perfect square, or a jig, and you put those on each end to make sure every side is 90 degrees. So I did that without fully taking it apart, and that didn't work. And then I completely dismantled the entire thing and started from scratch, and used the jig and got everything lined up, and still a ½ inch off when I put on the subfloor. So unbelievably frustrating. So I've built this pallet 2.5 times, and it's still incorrect. At this point, I'm just leaving it. I will make all my adjustments to anything else, you know, if it's, I don't believe there's going to be any issues with the construction of the playhouse itself. I feel like the only issue would be with on the 2 sides with like the sheeting or the side panels. Other than that, everything should just be fine, because it's only off by ½ inch. But God, it's off by ½ inch, and it drives me insane. It only drives me insane because I've tried to correct it twice. So, you know, if anybody has some advice or tips on like what the fuck is going on, like seriously, this is nuts. You know, woodworking people, let me know, or framers, people who do this stuff for a living, like tell me, what did I do wrong that I can't make a square. I can't seem to make a square to save my life.